Hi guys, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my August wrap-up part 1. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm slightly self-conscious in this video because in the last week I've managed to have a severe allergic reaction to some eye makeup remover. Hence, I've got no eye makeup on today and I've not been able to wear it for quite a few days, and I won't be able to wear it probably till the end of the week. I'm hoping by the end of the week I'll be able to wear it. So I'm feeling slightly self-conscious, not wearing much makeup and just being me. But the lovely BookTube waffle groups have really helped me boost me up with confidence, and I've just spent this morning on a home front. I'm going to be careful what I say, but my mum has been very poorly this month, and my other sister, my youngest sister, not Charlie, don't worry, is also quite poorly. They are both on the way back, but they will both take quite a long time to recover, so that's personal. I'm not going into any more details, but that is why I'm a bit off social media at the moment. I'm literally on here and I'm gradually getting better. I'm going to be on it a bit more, but we've also had this over the summer. My kids have both had summer colds. I've obviously had this allergic reaction, and before that I had heat stroke, so it's been a really tough month so far. It didn't really get off on the best start. My books have been my saviour, and all I can say is I know these ladies get told, and Gemma but the two Gemmas, Reader Book Gemma and Gem from Gemma Books, are part of my two best friends, plus Alice, Danny and Jack and Ange. They have all been my rocks over this last month. They're pretty much the people I've been talking to every single day. Obviously Charlie from Charlie Heathcote. Charles Heathcote's been really sweet as well. But if I am quiet, it's because there is a lot going on. Looking after the kids when they've had the summer colds, and just working and being a mum all the time, it's been a pretty much of a harder time. But both my mum and my sister are starting to get better. I'm going to be spending a bit more time up at my mum's to help. And literally, Charlie from Charlie Brooke, my sister, she's been amazing. She's been everyone's rock. So everyone go and check her out. She's the best sister, you know. I'm so blessed with her. So yeah, just wanted to give you guys an update. I don't want to talk too long because I would like to go and have a copy and read. But I have had a DNF this month already. The TBR jar was not great. I thought I would like 1,000 reads home, but it's about homelessness and things like that, and I'm not in the right place for tackling that at the moment. I need books that are going to be okay for me at the moment. I need to be really careful, and my sister and the book waffle ladies, they both said just DNF it. If it's not right for me at the moment, just DNF it. So I did, and I don't regret it because straight after that I picked up one of my favourite books of the month. So yeah, I've got my physical TBR down now. So literally I've read 15 books. 14 of those were off the unread TBR, so that's good. I think I've unhauled one, so that's 15 books that have gone. That's great on my numbers. I've literally now got the big chunky books a lot read now, so I'm literally going to have either 3 or 4 books on the go at the moment, which works better for me. It doesn't work for me having 2 new books being read at the same time. I thought I could cope with it, but something that I've learned this month is I can't cope with it. I'm also going to ease off my buddy reads a little bit because I know that I read very fast. I read faster than a lot of other people, so I need to kind of slow down a bit and take a back step. I'm going to really try next year to really reevaluate a few things. I'm still going to do some readathons, so we're going to have, just to update you, there will hopefully be a January read along I do, but this time obviously because Gemma from Reader Book Gem is still taking a break, I don't know if she'll be back. I'm going to probably host it with my book waffle ladies. I'm not going to do a birthday read along this year, then going forward in January. I have got another couple of read-alongs coming up, but they're a lot less. I'm going to be doing a lot less big series next year and just taking the pressure off, because I've found this year it's been quite hard. I've had too many series on the go and it's just been a bit of an overload. So next year I'm going to try and take it a bit easier. So what am I reading at the moment? So I am reading The Way We Live Now by Anthony Trollope. Reading it over 2 months with Charlie from Charles Heathcote. So this week I've read in the last 2 weeks I've read 182 pages. And I've got this week to read, I've got about 90 pages to read this week, so that's quite good. I can do that. I can really cut that down. So that's going to be a lot more accessible. I am enjoying this, but it's definitely, where it's a classic, I'm finding classics a little bit harder to read at the moment because my brain isn't really in the right headspace for it, but I am giving it a go. So And then obviously for the book that I am vlogging reading this because of the Tutor Along. I'm loving the Tutor Along, by the way. That's another sneaky peek. I'm halfway through the Six Queens of Henry VIII, and this is non-fiction. I don't want to go into too much detail because I am going to show you a lot in the vlog. But yeah, it's all right. Today I start Worsley's End, and I'm still on Anne Boleyn. So I think the plan is over this next week I've got to get up to, where am I getting up to this week? I'm getting up to a conversation, so I don't know where that is. So this is on the Letter Queens. This week I finish off Anne Boleyn this week, and then I go on to the other. I finish off Anne Boleyn and I read more on Jane Seymour, and then the rest will be on the other three. So this is going to be quite an interesting week. I'm going to really give it a good go. But yeah, that's a go. Like I said, I'll talk to you more about that. So that's my pages for this week. And I've just realised I've got my stacks in the wrong order. I've got my lowest star ratings over there and then the 5 stars there. Oh well, I do like to challenge it. Like I said, apart from my DNF, I've had a really great reading month so far. But Gem from Gemma Books, I've got a bone to pick with you. The lowest star rating books are actually 2 of the ones that I thought I would love. So it's Gem's fault. I'm getting too much for cynic. The contemporary, I'll explain more. I thought Beach Read by Emily Henry, I thought I would be like totally into it. I thought it was going to be a 5 star. Thought, beach read. Obviously I'd been warned that it's not really a beachy book. But contemporaries are really going to take a lot to get a high star rating on me, because this was just such like boy meets girl. Like they hated each other when they were younger and they love each other now. They fall in love again, and it was just like so slow, and I could have just, and I was like, I wanted, almost DNF'd it halfway through, but you know me, I really don't take a lot to DNF. And it's basically about 2 different authors. They're trying to write, like January writes like contemporary romances, and Gus is a serious literary type, and they have more in common, and they both have writer's block, but it was just too atypical. But then there was a bit at the end, which if you don't want spoilers, please skip ahead the next few minutes, where basically she, at the start of this, January finds out that her father, who she worshipped the ground he walked on, had an affair for a very long time, and she's been left their beach house that he shared with his mistress, whatever. So she starts this book feeling like her father's betrayed her. She had this great opinion. Now for me, that's a little bit too close to bone. My dad had a bit of a history, and I'm not going to go into detail, that's personal, but just to say that, yeah, there were some bits on this that were triggered. But at the end, there was a bit where he writes her letters, and she finally finds the letters. She finally has the strength to read them. And part of me wishes I could do that. Part of me wishes I could find out why my dad did some of the mistakes he did. But some of the bit made me think that maybe I've also been processing things a bit differently, and maybe I should have realised that there are more to things than you meet the eye, and our parents are human. My mum always tells me off that I worship the ground she walks on, and she always says, I'm human, Emily. And I'm like, something that's happened this last month is I realised how much I still, 43, I still need my mum. I still love her, and I still would be nowhere without her. She's the best. But she is human. She's not perfect. No one's perfect. But how much do we put our parents on pedestals? How much of us think that they can't do any mistakes? So that's kind of why it got up to 3 stars, the way it ended on the parental side. So that, other than that, the romance bit just did my nut. So that's going bye. And then The Hidden Beach by Karen Swan. Again, this was just really slow paced. It got 3 stars because there was a mystery-ish element, and there were some characters in this that I liked. And it talks about a lot about head injury. Now, obviously, I've had my head injury because of my car accident, and it talks about a little bit, but it does the cheating trope again, and I don't like the cheating trope. So it was all right. It wasn't like, I still read it, and I read it quite quickly, but it was just not as good as I wanted it to be. They both got beach in the title, and they both were just 3 stars, just too contemporary, too predictable, too romance, and I was like, boring. Now I get to my 4 stars. I've got 3 4 stars, but I will say I have 9 5 stars. Flipping heck, 5 stars out of the park, but the 4 star ones are good. Oh, just realised I didn't write the Anne Boleyn. Oops, I forgot to put the Anne Boleyn book down. Yeah, tell you that in a minute then. So my 4-star books, 3 4-star books are The Faraway Tree Stories by Enid Blyton. This is 3 of the Faraway Tree books. And it was cosy. It was when I really needed a book just to go back to childhood, to see the Saucepan Man, see Moonface, see Moonface, see Silky the Elf, and just go back to the lands where magic is happening and childhood, and it's sweet and cosy. And yeah, I loved going back to my childhood and reading this. It was really great fun. I think I'm going to keep it just because I want Mia. I don't think Mia would like it, but Thomas, I don't know, but it might be good for me to reread. But it was really cosy. Then a series book, so again I can't tell you too much about this one because it is a series book, and that is Nightingales Under the Mistletoe. This was really good. This is like the 6th or 7th in the 7th in the series. It's set at Christmas time, but we're going off it out into the countryside. So some of the Nightingale nurses got moved into the countryside. We go back to Millie, who has been can't tell you too much, but she has been recently widowed. I won't tell you who her husband it was because that will give you a spoiler for the start of the series. And then we've got Jess, who in a previous book was one that was brought up in the slums, and she's now a fully qualified nurse, and she gets moved to Nightingale Hospital out in the country. And she would rather be nursing on the front line, but she's sent to the country. Soon the East End girls discovered there are battles to be fought on the home front too. So that was really good. And then we go back to Effie, who's really good. And she finds herself exiled to a quiet village, and she finds the excitement in the form of a smooth talking GI. This is good, it is emotional, and it does pack a real punch. I love seeing Millie again, and we also got to see another person, an old love interest in this, so that was really good. So that was one keeping that. And then the book that's massive, but it's another East End wartime book. It's another wartime book. This is second in the series, and this is The East End Angels, Frankie, Winnie and Bella. And this broke me because there were some really emotional bits in this, and I thought someone was going to die, and someone else that I loved did die, and it's emotional, it's wartime. I can't tell you too much about it, but all 3 women have some really great stories, and it's a great wartime book, and I did love it, and I think I'll probably keep that one because I am reading the whole series. So now for my 4.5 star book. I am debating whether it's 4.5 stars or 4 stars, and that is Anne Boleyn, The King's Passion, which I'm reading for the Tutor Along. Again, I will go into more detail when we do our live show, which I don't think we've scheduled yet. But this is literally on Anne Boleyn. What was interesting was, though, reading this at the same time as the David Starkey book, it really does put portrays on you, because you're thinking, how much have we... I do compare her writing to, obviously, Philippa Gregory, and I've heard Anne Boleyn's story on Philippa Gregory's book, and I know that's more fiction, and this is more non-fiction, but there is still ties, because this shows that, like, her sister Mary Boleyn, it almost like insinuates that she was more or less raped by Henry, whereas in other books you've seen that Mary was more complicit and more into the relationship. At the start of the book, Anne, in my opinion, is portrayed really well. She's feisty, she's sticking up for her sister. I really liked her at the start, but by the end I saw her and she was really manipulative, how much she used Henry. And this debates whether Anne really did love Henry or not. Did Mary love Henry? Her sister love Henry? And that's very interesting. And did she kind of dig her own grave? So that's quite interesting, but there's a lot to talk about that book. Like I said, I think that is going to be where it's going to be interesting. So yeah, I don't have many unhauled books this month. What's going on? A lot of these, because there are so many good books. But now I can go into my 5-star books, and I flew through 2 of them within a matter of day. I really smashed it. I needed 5-star books this month. I really have needed books that have been really good. So the first one is the last in the Anne of Green Gables series. I literally finished this at 10 o'clock last night. Willow Wrinkles, it got 5 stars because it is one of the best in the series. But again, this one is very emotional. But I love Rilla. I love Anne's youngest daughter. There are some triggers on this because it's tackling World War One and how Canada got involved and how Canada lost a lot of people in that, and that's true. The Canadians lost their loved ones in this war, so this is a lot more harder hitting than other books, but I personally think it's one of my favourites in the series. A non-fiction book that was very emotional, and that is The Nurse's Story. Couldn't rate it any less than 5 stars. A Nurse's Story, My Life in A&E During the COVID Crisis. It broke me reading this. because it brought back a lot of memories of the COVID crisis. Now, you guys know I cannot talk about COVID still. 2.5 years on, if you talk about COVID to me, talk about cases, I freak out. If I know someone I love has got it, I freak out. It is a trigger for me. But reading this reminded me that we got through it back then. If worst case scenario things happen again, we are stronger than we know. But it also reminded me that, yes, like I was furloughed for the first lockdown, but a lot, obviously the nurses and a lot of frontline workers still had to work. They still had to go in and they risked their lives for us. And this talks about the first lockdown and what the nurses went through, what people put their lives at risk for us. And it really got me thinking, and it reminded me, because I've got a relative that's in the nursing industry and very high up now, but you know, he put himself at risk, and I was always worried. And I knew my Chris had to work through it. He was only literally in an office, but I got scared every day that he went to work. So yeah, time to celebrate. I still think we still owe our nurses and our frontline workers 2.5 years down the line. We still owe them our lives, and we still owe them, I think, celebrating, and we still need to do more. I still think we need to show more appreciation to these guys. So that's what for me is a bit of an issue. I still think we need to do more to celebrate. Just because the crisis is over, we are living with what happened then. So that's me. I could go off and around about that all the time. Luann Golding's Homecoming. I'm saving this for my sister Charlie because she will love it. It is very, very emotional. Again, there are some real triggers in this, but it's very, very good. Yvonne and Kiama are the two lead characters. We do go back in time. We have two timelines, 2020 and 2000 to 2000. And we are basically finding out about how Kiama has grown up without his mother, and he wants to find out what happened to his mum. She lost her when, I think he lost his mum when he was like 7 or 8. And he wants to go back to where he lost his mum. And Yvonne was his mum's best friend. I think that's safe to say, spoiler. But it's sort of you move between London and Kenya and spanning almost 2 decades. Homecoming is a profound story of love, family and friendship, and it's coming to terms with your past and finding out what happens when we finally share our truth. Amazing book. When I rave that to everyone. So I say, are you guys going to be able to predict my 5-star, my favourite out of the month? Because there are so many of them. So obviously you've just seen 3 of them. I wonder if you're going to be able to predict which one was my favourite. One that's an obvious love, and that's Paige Toon's I Knew You Were Trouble. Danny from Danny's Book World sent me this, and is an amazing friend. And it's the second in the Jessie Jefferson series. I picked it up and I read it in a day. I read it in less than 24 hours. It's the second, so I can't tell you too much about it. But Jessie Jefferson is basically getting her life turned upside down again. She's finding herself in this book. I loved it. Yes, I have a crush on Johnny Jefferson, Jessie's dad, because he's a book rock dude who was in Paige Toon's second book that she ever wrote, which is called Johnny Be Good. He's also in Baby Be Mine, and I've always had a crush on him. This, I love him even more, because not only does he sound sexy, but he's a caring dad in it. So I love him even more. Amazeballs. Totally amazeballs. Then, the Honeymooners. I'm debating whether I keep this or not, because it is fun. It was 5 stars, don't get me wrong, it was fun. I read it with Gemma, the other Gemma, but read a bit Gemma. And it is fun. It's like Olive is always unlucky. Her identical twin sister Amy on the other hand is probably the luckiest person in the world. We all know this book. It was raved up BookTube years ago. Christine and Lauren is 2 authors that write together, and it is absolutely fun, hilarious, sexy. I laughed, I cried. I didn't cry. I laughed so much in this book, but it did tackle romance in a really great way. So you just laughed and you really enjoyed it, and it was bloody brilliant. Absolutely loved it. Now, I think this is the 4th, and I'm wondering if this is the last in the Doodah. I know which book, the Beach Street Cafe books. And this is a set, we go back, obviously again, it's a series book, so I can't talk too much about it. But we're going back to Mount Polburn, and Polly's there, and we get a new character, Marissa, in this, who is going there to hide away from her past. She's had something traumatic happen to her, and she's having major PTSD, agoraphobia. So it does talk about that quite a lot. But I loved this book. It was great to go back to Mount Polburn. It's great to go back to Polly, but it was also great to have other lead characters, Marissa and her neighbour, who I loved, and really great book. Thoroughly brilliant. I think Vicky my youngest sister might like that. Now, it's the first book of the month, and it was my first 5-star of the month. Forging Silver into Stars by Bridget Kavanagh. I knew I would like this. This is the start of a new series that she's writing, but it's linked to the Cursebreaker series. It's linked to the Cursebreaker trilogy, but it's a different series. I don't know if it'll be a trilogy again or what, but we go back to Sile Shallow, and Lord Tycho is in this, and he was in the Cursebreaker series. We do see Grey again, we see Rian again, we see all those our favourite characters again, but it's not centred around our favourite characters. It's centred around Lord Tycho, Jax and Callin, and magic's still banished, and there's stuff happening, and it's exciting. It's got LGBTQI plus in it, it's got fire in it, it's got fantasy, it's exciting, it's fucking amazing. Yeah, loved it every bit of the way. Then my book that I read for the All About Evie read along by that I was sent as a gifted PR product by Tandem, which reminds me I need to send my Tandem figures back, by Matson Taylor, who wrote The Miseducation of Evie Hepworth. Again, I loved it. It is fun. It's set in the early 1970s, late 1960s. Set in 1972, Evie Hepworth is now settled in London working as a production assistant. She has everything she ever dreamed about, but following an unfortunate incident involving Princess Anne and a horsey mug, she finds herself having to rethink her life and piece back together work, love, grief, and multiple pairs of corkscrew shoes. But we also have like another timeline, and it goes back to like the 1960s, or back to 2 different time eras of people that we loved, that she loved in the previous book. So it goes back to someone we know from our other book, and yes, it's like an interlude, 1971 in London. So that's like Rosamund Pike. So it's when she got, yeah, I can't tell you too much, but there is someone from her past. So a year before this book, there is a bit but talking about Rosamund Pike's story, who is from the first book, and then we've got another character's backstory in the other timeline. So we've got a few different sort of interlude timelines that are coming in amongst this, which make it more exciting. But Evie Hepworth, I laughed, I cried, I thought this was bloody brilliant, and I can't rave about it enough. It was 5 stars, it was brilliant, and I loved it. And then last but not least, Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. Oh my god, this is chunky. It is 5 stars, it was brilliant, but there are bits in the middle that were quite slow. It's a very big book, it's like 700 pages, I think. Yeah, it literally is, no, 600 pages, but it's chunky. It's got 2 timelines, obviously. We've got, most of the book is about Maggie. No, Marion Graves, and that's her story. The most of the book, but then we do have another story, half a century later, where Hadley Baxter is a brilliant troubled starlet, and she's irresistibly drawn to play Marion Graves. And I didn't get the present storyline as much as I got Marion Graves' storyline, and I did wonder how that would link in, but at the end you do see how it was linked in and how it was connected. But Marion Graves' story was absolutely incredible. I believe a lot of that is non-fiction, but oh my god, it was so hard-hitting, and there were so many bits where I just didn't want to put it down. It was emotional, there were a lot of triggers that I didn't expect on this, but it is very, very good. It was an amazing book. Like I said, I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, but it's very, very hard-hitting. I do think it's the one I need to reread when I'm possibly in a better place. So, my favourites. See if you guessed. Well, one of them was an obvious one, Forging Silver and Stars. And I think, if I'm being honest, like, I feel guilty for saying it, but obviously it's going to be page 2, but I really can't, like, page 2 is part of a series, so I don't feel like it can be like on its own standard favourite. This is going into my favourites of the year so far. I loved it more than any book that I can't describe how much I loved that, but that was what I needed when I read it, because it made me laugh. But on the other side, like, I loved that, I loved all of them. It's been a really good month so far, and I'm hoping in the second half of the month I continue to smash it out of the park. But what has been your favourite book of the month so far? Like, you know, guys, let me know down below. Is there any of these that you want to know more of? Let me know down below. But before I go, thanks again for all your support. You're all amazing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, bring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.